So as a villain, you've got a lot of hate also inside. It's the first time that I've done something like this on screen. There's so many different attributes that come to that. He heard me on listening to a Bhojpuri song. If you think you're going through a tough time, there were women out there who have survived and who have gone through much tougher things in life.
Welcome to yet another beautiful episode of Celebrity Spotlight with Varoin Marwah. On today's episode, I have someone really special and interesting because he's all about spirituality, mental health, fitness, apart from being such a celebrated and a unique actor. I call him unique because you will know very, very soon why I say so. He's one of his kind who looks very, very peaceful and somebody who's all about positivity, which he is. However, he plays some very interesting roles on the screen. Somebody who's worked in different languages around, from Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, and many more. Someone who started his career right from modeling and went onwards to television and finally making a big mark in the world of web series and movies. I'd love to introduce my guest for today. He's none other than this amazing person who I call a friend and a very, very celebrated actor, Jason Shah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome and get to know him more.
This is Celebrity Spotlight with Varoin Marwah.
I am so excited. I'm so happy to see you right in the morning, which I rarely wake up. And I woke up because this particular gentleman who's seated right next to me is such a fitness freak. He's all about wellness. He's all about good things in life. And of course, we know people like him like to wake up, rise and shine early. So thank you for making me wake up early. I'm on my second coffee and I can see that you're very awake. But knowing you and knowing the kind of relationship and conversations we always share, I actually was so excited to wake up and I was like, I cannot wait to get on this couch along with one and only Jason Shah, who I've been meaning to discuss, speak, and just explore the world of conversation. You have always been someone that I've looked up to on social media and in person. And of course, your body of work has been very phenomenal in the last couple of years. I've seen you grow, and there's just so much to talk. So welcome, and thank you so very much for taking time to be on Celebrity Spotlight with Varoin Marwah today. And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's awesome. This has been in the making for some time, hasn't it? Yes.
And thank you for agreeing to be on the show. Thank you for always being such a good support. I remember when we had opened the store, in fact, not even opened this Mumbai store, you were one of the first people who walked in while we were just setting up the store. So your good luck probably has prevailed. And today we are sitting a couple of months down, where I feel a little bit more settled, but yet I remember that support and the fact that you were there for the launch, and you've always been pretty kind. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So talking about you, Jason, obviously the very first thing, if I didn't know you personally, I'll be like, oh wow, he's a non-Indian. He's a Gora, right? So how do you deal with that being in the industry, which is so obviously competitive? There's so many Indian actors. So, what is the whole process? Like, do you get typecasted? Do you get plugged in for certain kind of things? And how do you sort of see yourself in the industry?
I think, first of all, I'm blessed. I think with the upbringing that I've had, it enables me to do the kind of work that I do here. I look at myself as probably the only one of its kind. Yes, there was Tom Alter years ago, but his Hindi was far better than mine. He actually spoke Urdu beautifully. I mean, it was wonderful to listen to him talk. My Hindi is sort of Bombay wala pani puri, bel puri Hindi, but I think Mumbai ke liye kafi hai, script ke liye kafi hai. Obviously, aapko to lines yaad karna padta hai. It's my second language.
Right.
So there is a difference, in working and, I guess the process of how it is. I usually like to ask productions to, if I can get script earlier so that I can delve into it a little bit more. Yes, I definitely feel I have kind of most of the time hit into some box of some sort where I'm mostly or most of the time playing a foreigner in India. But you know what? I think, again, I'm blessed for this opportunity because I'm working in 3 languages right now.
Wow.
So I'm working in Telugu on 2 projects.
Wow.
Probably start a Tamil project now. And I'm working in 2 projects, 1 Hindi movie and 1 Hindi web series as well.
Wow.
So as I think of myself is that I'm the only one that can do this.
That's amazing.
And you have to have confidence in your body of work, no matter what the world's perception is of you. And I think sort of any actor after a while gets typecast. I mean, we have so many good-looking heroes in this country. I don't think they're going to step out and play a villain, like myself, because they've got to watch, who they're catering to.
Also find it really unique because when I see you and as a person, your face is a very kind soul face, and on screen you are evil as hell. So what's the process? Like deep inside, while you're about to start your scenes and stuff, do you look at the mirror and you're like, I gotta be evil, or I am that evil? Like, how does it even seep into you? Or are you evil?
Well, I guess there's always a dark side, right?
Right. There's a lot of bright side here. So okay, I get it.
So that dark side, I guess, is past experiences, that I can feed off of, that the script is also giving me. The personality traits or the characteristics of that person, how were they treated when they were young?
Right.
Living in India, I can talk mostly from experience, is I've received racism in some way. I don't look at it as racism because it's India. There's a lot of, I would say, a lack of education when it comes to certain things. And, when a person sees me, 10 rupiya ka cheez 100 rupiya ban jata hai. And I would say that's for a foreigner in any country. If you go to Thailand, you have to bargain, right?
Absolutely.
Because they're going to take a run for your money. So there's always that perception that people will have of me because I'm this Gora, as you said, walking into a shop. But then I feel I have this way to connect with India on such a different level that jaise maine Hindi mein baat kiya logon ke saath, aise pura public हैरान हो जाता है. Yeah, the prices come down. No, sir. Sorry, sir. And
do you swear in Hindi?
I used to.
Okay.
I try not to.
That'll really get there.
So I guess, it's just, I guess as an actor, I realized earlier on in life, coming from a world of modeling, it's a tough world. The competition is crazy high because you've got budding actors coming up every day. Audition rooms have thousands of talented actors, especially in a place like Mumbai. I mean, if you go to Model Town, you will see the hundreds of thousands.
There's a place called Model Town?
Yeah, in Andheri.
It's called Model Town?
Yeah, it's
like
actually called Model
for models?
Town. Yeah. As
wow.
in,
is it Aramnagar? Is that the place?
I think it's next to, somewhere around there.
I recently got introduced to Aramnagar. Okay. I was like, what is everybody doing Aram?
Aram.
But there's everything but Aram.
Yeah,
it's probably haram to do Aram there.
So I guess, it's an interesting, life that you have. So having tough skin coming into the industry is something that I like to tell actors. Firstly, you're putting yourself on a public forum. People are going to want to destroy you. People are going to want to uplift you. So you're going to get both sides of the coin.
But you've been pretty blessed. I swear, I have never heard one person say anything against you or about you that you're, it's all praises. And I'm not just saying because you're across, right now. We can check your Instagram. There's hardly anybody who trolls you, which is amazing in today's time and age. Today, I get trolled ever since I've stepped into Indian market. Not for my work, but for the way I look. And I'm like, I'm a designer. I'm supposed to make you look good. And I have this constant troll, which is maybe if I look at it in a positive light, it's not so bad. And it's always good to hear because if 1 or 2 people say, sometimes it could be wrong. But if so many people are saying, it's time to pay attention to. So one of them is a positive one, which is about my weight. And I'm like, okay, you know what? They look at me as a big size, fat person. At the end of it, it's not healthy. At the end of it, it's for me. At the end of it, I can change that. Second of all, they compare me to two other people, which I never thought I would be compared to. One of them is Kapil Sharma.
Oh wow. Okay.
Second one is Badshah. And the comments just get very interesting. ये कपिल शर्मा को और बादशाह को मिक्स करके कॉपी बना है. And कपिल शर्मा का भाई होगा. कपिल शर्मा को बड़ा कर दिया है. बादशाह को, like, I'm like, wow. But if only one person said, I wouldn't have paid attention. Now that there's so many saying, thankfully I like both of them. Thankfully. Of course, in my mind, I thought I'm way better looking. I'm joking. But saying that, you got to hear sometimes, right? The good and not so good things. But touch wood, like there are really, really good things that I see and, read and hear about you. Talking about the evil side, as you said, we all have. How do you stay so mentally like calm and composed, and even the way you interact, it's got this very underlying, very balanced sort of, demeanor. And I'm sure it's coming from within. It's not an acting, like we don't act all the time.
Correct.
So how do you?
I think it's always a journey.
Right.
For me, it's the spiritual, the mental, and the physical that need to align. And I think that's very important. That I think right now, wellness is not being considered on these as one. They're taken as three as completely different departments of life. But I'm like, if a person is not spiritually set, how can they mentally set themselves to have a set body?
Okay, so they're all interlinked.
Yes, and I think people will go on a spiritual journey. They may not pay attention to their fitness at that point. Then their fitness becomes bad, so then they overindulge on their fitness and they lose the spiritual connection. All the while, the mental is getting rattled because it's latching onto something, having to let it go with no real, sense of willpower or restriction. Because to me, it's like, in freedom, there's rules.
Wow, in freedom there are rules. Okay.
And if there is no law, there is no freedom, right? Because freedom in a sense is also safety.
Right.
So you have to have rules for yourself. I don't like to have sugar. Yes, I'm not saying I'm going to claim and say, oh, I'm 3 years without sugar. No, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to lie to someone. Yes, I do have a gulab jamun once in a while, which is my favorite Indian sweet. But I'm going to restrict myself and tell myself, well, if I had it this month, you don't need it again.
Wow.
So you start implementing things of where your spirituality goes. I want to get up in the morning and meditate.
Right.
That's my first thing. I want to pray. I want to worship. So when you go into that, okay, well, I didn't do that today in the morning. That's why I'm feeling that little lack of peace. There's that vibration of anxiety is slowly starting to seep in because you've not protected yourself first thing. For me, it's about positioning in the mind. So if you're using your spirituality to position your mind in a healthy way, automatically your body is going to see healthy results. So it takes time because we're in a generation that does not like to hear the truth. They are allergic to people and to things being said. As a kid, I remember being told, well, you don't like it? Get on with life.
Too bad.
Too bad, and I think it's the skin of a human being right now in this modern generation is unhealthy.
Yeah.
You need to have thick skin. I mean, if you look at an elephant, a tiger.
Oh my God, I find this so weird. I feel the same.
If you look at all these animals, a rhino, an alligator, they're the strongest in their league. And look at their skin. They have thick skin. And I think it's something that people need to do. And it's not to say.
Do you think it's got to do with parenting? Like how?
It's all in the parents' hands.
Right?
100%.
Because maybe our generation is parenting too much. The way the kids are handled these days, it's like you do one little thing, everyone clap. Yeah. Oh my God, you did such a great job. Absolutely. This mental conditioning of a child, which people are doing at home, which is all about praise to another level, that you are so amazing, you are amazing. Yeah. That doesn't happen outside. Exactly. And when they go outside, that's when all the clashes start, because now they're like, no, everyone told me that I'm amazing, including teachers nowadays. You're, appreciated for every little thing, which is good. But I just feel the balance is what is missing right now. I'm not saying the new generation really doesn't know anything, and I'm not saying the older ones didn't parent right. I just feel somewhere the correction is required and a conversation is required where we can safeguard and actually understand. You know, as they say that nobody knows how to take care as a parent, you just discover as we go along. But I feel there should be more talk conversations. Then maybe it'll be a little bit of an awakening for people, because I do see a lot of sensitivity in the new generation, and I feel sometimes it's really not their fault. And neither is it parents' fault. It's just that they're trying to undo what they probably have experienced. So some level of forums and conversations need to start just to ensure that, years to come, everything is in place, less heartbreaks, less tears, and longevity. Because I see like nowadays, like us, we like a profession, we want to stick to it, we want to work hard on it, rather than this generation which will say, I'll try and I'll switch. And they switch so much. Again, nothing wrong with it. Your life is yours. Experience as many things as you want. But give it some time. Give it some time and learn to fail. Only then will you rise, because they don't want to even fail, so they don't want to go that far. So yeah, that's another conversation. Another conversation.
But I'll take a point from there.
Right.
Love.
Right.
For me,
Right.
as a parent, as a kid, it doesn't matter who you are, what age. And age is just a number. I feel love starts with patience and ends with endurance. And that's why you draw up to the conclusion of love actually never fails. Because even though you may be hard on someone right now, which to them in that moment will be maybe to them too much.
Right.
But the benefit later is going to be, oh, well, my mom and dad told me that I am amazing. I am God's special one. I am chosen. But I'm going to face a lot of slack.
Right.
I'm going to face a lot of attack. So it's exactly what you said, combining the two. Over here, this generation is the half the line I read it, I'm all inspired, and then I go out and somebody destroys me.
So there are good, bad, this, that. I don't like to stereotype, I'm sure, so do you. Somehow I feel, had I not in my early years been challenged by my loved ones, I wouldn't have even done half of the things. I'm not saying I've reached to the top, but at least I'm on my way where I'm striving to get there every day. So, a little push is so required. And, it hardens you. And when you go out, actually, you feel the outside world is kinder. And you're like, oh, I quite like this. I'm up for this, because they're not as bad. Not bad, I mean, with all due respect, you know what I'm saying, yeah? Talking about that, off late, because I've been dealing now with my parents who are getting older by the days, and I see a lot of my friends' parents are getting older too. I feel like eventually we need to start having those conversations, because our parents, in fact, I don't think anybody's parents teach their child that when we are old, how would you want to deal with us? And that is also something which goes with hit and trial, because we only know one way, that you will take care of us. But what happens when they go old? We are trying to do this whole hit and trial also in the reverse format, which is not correct. Sometimes it takes a toll on you as well, because you may do something wrong that you come back to your room and you're like, was that me? Did I respond like that? How insensitive of me? Like how you said, patience, endurance, it applies back to the kids too. Like we are no more kids, but yet we are kids to our parents, right? So yeah, there are a lot of these conversations. I think today what we're talking about is the content for my future podcast probably. And this is the reason why I started this. It's so easy for me to sit here and discuss colors, fashion, and clothes, but that's not all that I do in life. And I feel like this is sort of therapeutic for me, not only to get to know from people like you who have done so much, and of course your experience comes really valuable to the show and to me personally and to the audience. Talking about some other fun stuff, let's keep it about you now, back to you. So how did this whole journey of acting start for you?
So it started when I was a kid.
Right.
I was 17 years old. I got a call and somebody said, hey, do you want to be a model? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Bombay City.
By this time you were tall.
I'm only 5'10", so I think I must have been somewhere around there. And I was working with my dad in our export and import company at the time. Because it's a family business, so you start off pretty young, it's looking at the work, traveling to different states. So I was like, let's give this a shot. I went down to Chennai and I finished this shoot in 2.5 hours, because that's how professional things used to be back there.
Right.
You didn't have to stay on set for 12 hours. Most of the time, everyone's faffing. There isn't things that are really, ready. So I came back and I looked at Dad, and I literally, as I was going out of the gate of that shoot, I was handed a packet of 50,000 rupees. Now, 50,000 rupees
Back
20
in the
years
days.
ago was a lot of money,
Yeah.
especially to a 17-year-old teenager. To me, I was like, this is like 5 lakhs,
Wow, of course.
just handed to me. So I came back to my dad and I said, I don't want to work with you because I only get 15,000 a month.
Yeah.
I just made 50
2
in 2
hours.
hours.
Wow.
Obviously, you realize that, you're not always working. So sometimes having a
That 50
steady
has to be
job.
divided into a couple of
Exactly.
days and months, perhaps.
But I think it just gave me this thought of, wow, this is a creative space. I like this. I get to travel, I get to learn, I get to meet lots of different people. I'm more like that. I love connecting to people. So if my job is just behind a desk, at least for me, I don't get that kind of what I feed off of in life, where I think it's mostly my purpose is to spread love and joy and, see people in a peaceful manner. And it just kept going. Then I think it was pretty much the same year Partner happened. And I literally just walked inside of the office and the guy just said, done, bring him to Mehboob Studio tomorrow, because they had nobody my age in my skin color and they needed a white boy.
Amazing. See,
So-
destiny.
Yeah, and
Wow.
on that set, of course, watching Lara Datta and Govinda and Salman and Katrina, it was like,
Hardcore.
I was like having the best time of my life.
But also,
So-
it can make you nervous.
No, I think I couldn't
Maybe
even
you're too
feel
young
nerves.
and
Yeah, I
excited.
was just looking at it all, taking it all in, because I actually never watched Bollywood movies as a kid.
Wow.
So when people talk about the times of Sholay and Devdas, yes, I may have seen the movie, but sometimes I'm not really equating it to that moment in history. Whereas maybe someone would have gone to the theater or watched it at home at that time. It has a very different kind of mehsoos, as they say, to it,
Right.
So
Not bad.
I
Hindi
was,
is good, mehsoos. Very good.
so it's just like, it's things like that just drew me in.
Right.
Aur wahan se bolte ki chatka aaya. So I was like, this is it. I want to do this for the rest of my life. It didn't really take that path. I went very heavily into modeling. It was great. I did loads of TV commercials because I was this, one foreign kid that was very available and in Mumbai at that time. Foreign models were being mostly brought in from Brazil. So they have the Indian skin tone a little bit. So I was still, again, I was like one in the million. So it worked out really well for me, and it has ever since. And then Big Boss, the opportunity came along.
Big Boss 16.
10, season
10.
10, yeah, it was
Right.
quite a long time ago. Unfortunately, I got very sick in there, so I had to come out within 7 days or something
Okay.
like that. But of course, then the exposure. So then it was just back-to-back serials for about 5 to 6 years, Jhansi Ki Rani and Chandrasekhar Azad and Barrister Babu and all of these, where I was that leading villainous, English officer who's the bad guy in every story. And after COVID, it was a spiritual intake for me. I was like, all right, I want the opportunity. I asked, the man upstairs who, has control over my life. And I said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to do acting, but I want to move into web series and film. And after COVID, it has been a roller coaster. It started in Tamil, so I've done 3 movies now in Tamil. Then it went into Telugu. I was there just for a few seconds, but it was a really amazing experience to be in Salar. And now I've been called back to this Telugu industry because the director saw me in Salar.
Wow.
Now somebody else wants to work with me. So it's like that. Sometimes it's just a stepping stone. And now I think with Heeramandi, the exposure that gave, because obviously Sanjay Leela Bhansali sir has a reputation that, precedes him, and that is all over the world. People, adore his work, his designs, the feel, the
opulence.
the enormous, feel that he brings to
I
each
think his
character.
work is forever. It's like once you're there, it's in as a history. Like you can refer back to it. Yeah.
So I think now I'm in that where I think, yes, a lot more people are giving me that respect.
Your character, Cartwright, like it's literally like it's so popular, so famous. So did you ever have, like, while shooting for Heeramandi, a moment where like, oh my God, I'm actually on a Heeramandi set, which is Sanjay Leela Bhansali production. Like he's the man who's making this.
This is a funny question because, a lot of people have asked me this, like not on a podcast. And I'm very honest to myself and I'm honest to others. I'm not really starstruck. I appreciate ethics, morals, hard work, and, the perseverance that a person like Sanjay will have, in the sense that I want to be very particular about this. And until I get what I want, we don't shoot.
Right.
But I think once I go into the workspace, I have to let all of those things go, which I've seen in a lot of actors. I don't want to take names. That doesn't leave them. They're thinking about the director, and I'm here and I'm working with all of these people. And that's good if it's for the first 1 or 2 days. But you need to let that be outside of your workplace. Go back home, talk about family like that, enjoy those moments. But when you come into the workplace, I think it is essential that you let go of who is the star and who has done more work than you, because then you start to make judgments. So you may want to cozy up a little bit more, try and be friendly a little bit more with someone else, or, try and make some kind of relationship where for me, it's like, okay, now you're going to be dealing with me as the character. If we meet at the Vanity, you're going to see, hey, Jason, the guy who smiles and hugs.
Right.
But when you're coming in, I'm Alistair Cartwright. So respect my workplace in the sense of now you're in my police station. So I like to let all of that go. Because if I'm sitting there, oh my God, the set, and oh my God, now it's a big actress in front of me, I'll lose the character perspective.
I guess also when you started right, you were in the room with the likes of Lara Datta and so many people. So somewhere maybe your conditioning happened very early as well. Second of all, maybe you're just blessed with that sort of a balance where you step into your role and characters stronger than the real situation around you. So that's an inherent blessing that you have, perhaps. Not everybody does, but that's something to take away for the others who possibly deal and battle with that. Because I'm sure there are more people on the other side than your side. A lot of people are still aware of the surroundings, and it takes them a long time to detach from that. It happens to the best of us sometimes.
But I think even more than a hero, or even more in the positive, not that, it's more work or something like that, but for villains, you're playing a very bad person.
Yeah.
They have
You have to double, triple up your character, like strength.
You've got so many layers. Morally, ethically, this person is just not right. They're sadistic, they're evil, their intentions are completely off book. So you've also, I think that also helps me to stay balanced, is I don't want to be all of these bad guys in real life, because and I'll tell you, when I wasn't spiritually connected, I could have been like that too. Some people, I'm very open about speaking the truth. I may have said things to people that just should not have been said. I have opened up in my mouth in ways that, I actually am sorry, and I would ask for forgiveness from that person if I met them now. To be able to leave those things. So as a villain, you've got a lot of hate also inside that you have to know, okay, Jason, you're no longer Cartwright. Let's get Jason and put Jason in the car to get back home. Because if I get home with Cartwright, home will start feeling like that.
Right.
Home could become the police station where I might start interrogating and bashing everyone for no
Right.
reason, you know, because these characters are like that. They're over accentuated in, you know, the guy comes to give you water, and on TV I'm like taking the guy and making him drink the water. You know, it's ruthless, it's
Unreal.
cruel.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of start to learn how to detach yourself from these things. Yes, I go in, I play that character, but as I come out, I've got to just, all right, Jason, you're back to normal.
That's amazing. So you have a method, you have a process. So talking about process and method, was there any role till date that you've done that you struggled to get into and you had to really like work harder to slip into the role?
Not really. Fortunately, I've been blessed to work with quite a few good people. But I'll tell you Jasi Ki Rani because it was the longest that I had maintained a character. I'd shot for about 7 months, and we were doing almost 27 days a month on the trot. I was barely even getting a Sunday off. That character, I could say I took home with me a few too many times. And it was very difficult for me to disconnect from that. It was also the start of my career in a lot of ways. So it was, that was my learning period, and it was tough, you know, and I think those are the best moments. Everyone's looking for this Aram Nagar type ghar, that we come and we have that, you know, Aram always.
Right.
But sometimes those points in life that are the toughest are going to teach you the most. So start to identify, assess your mind, where it can go, because the mind is powerful. So why did I think like that? Why did I act that way? Oh, now I realize why, because I'm still harboring this perception or this thought of that person, or maybe I'm harboring that perception of myself.
So you see the growth in yourself then?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Right? Versus before to now. That's amazing. So like scenes that you've done in Heeramandi, there's obviously this one particular scene which the world speaks about a lot more than any other scene. There are two, we'll touch on both. So that controversial scene is what I wanted to ask you. Was there some sort of a preparation that you had to do? Because obviously it's something that is out of your skin.
Yeah, it is. I was nervous.
Okay.
I was nervous when they called and told me that
Okay.
you have this scene tomorrow.
So it was on the script?
So yes, I had originally read that there may be, you know, something of that sort.
Right.
It was very different from what eventually turned out, which is the norm in most movies. You will get a script, the scene is kind of dictated in some way, and then when you actually start working, it completely changes because maybe the story has morphed, you know, maybe the characteristic of that person has changed. So yeah, it was interesting. I for a long time I've never felt nervous. I usually don't get nervous. It's because I have a lack of fear in my life.
Right.
The only fear that I want to have is to God. So in that moment, I was like, okay, wow, I'm feeling anxiety. As you said, it was out of my space. It was not the person that I am. I'm not. It's the first time that I've done something like this on screen. There's so many different attributes that come to that. But again, I leave my life in God's hands, and I told him, I said, whatever is going to happen, it's going to be amazing. And then knowing that you are with Sanjay, Leela, Bhansali, this isn't going to be a cheap blueprint, you know, of something else.
I think it was done aesthetically right. There was a lot left to imagination, which I think is a very high space in art space. Like it kind of just shows your, you know, intelligence, that I know that also that you're intelligent enough. I think that's the mark of a really, really good director. And then, of course, characters like yourself, you know, who played it. And I think something like that, of course, also always puts the question in audience mind that what did the actor go through in the moment? Did you have a lot of retakes?
Actually, no. Because I came onto set and Tinku, who was Ustad Ji, he was brilliant. I was so happy actually that it was with him.
Right.
Because he's also a married man.
Right.
It was also out of his zone, out of his skin.
Right.
So he was also nervous.
Oh, wow.
So Sanjay told us, look, I don't even want you guys to rehearse it so much because I want it to be very natural and free-flowing.
Right.
And that's exactly what we did.
So one take,
we just
done.
we sat inside of the vanity for a bit and just spoken
went through
about
how
when-
it's going to go.
And our chemistry was already building because my vanity and his vanity most of the time were together, even though we were shooting different stuff. So we would have lunch together, great laughs. He heard me on listening to a Bhojpuri song once.
Wow,
so
Bhojpuri
he was
song?
Like, he was
Wow.
like, you listen to Bhojpuri?
Yeah.
So that, they're icebreakers.
Right.
So by the time I think we got to the scene, he was as much as a professional actor as I would have hoped to have, acting opposite me. And he made it so easy. So we just came on and we just went for it. And I think it was 2 takes and it was, then close-ups and stuff like that. So it was beautifully done. I think it just flowed. There was a certain essence in the room, a certain respect in the room that I really appreciated, that this is 2 actors, let's give them their space.
Yeah, and the fact that it's been accepted in the same energy, like nobody has gone crazy about it, was like, it's got the right level of, let's say, artistic, it's verified by that lens, Now, talking about the other scene, which stands really well still in my mind, is with this Manisha Koryala in your office, in your police station. How was that scene for you? Was it very difficult?
No, I mean, I've been asked this. Like, was it difficult? I mean, in character, definitely not, because that's who he is.
Right.
He's willing to do anything for the crown. Maybe for her, she might have felt, because there were more than 4 men in the room.
Right.
So yes, all of a sudden, so many men coming around you, just as a woman in general. I think it's a good topic just to, enlighten people that this did happen. If you think you're going through a tough time, there were women out there who have survived and who have gone through much tougher things in life. Right. I think there's a lot of good that you can take out of a scene like that, rather than just harping on the actual action or the intention of the action. Rape is a thing. It's worldwide. It's not only in India. It's a huge, topic.
Just that we need stronger laws.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
need stronger laws.
110%. I think there needs to be stringent laws, not even stronger, very stringent.
I wonder why it's not going the way it should.
Yeah.
I mean, really, India's progressing to another level, and then we become so regressive.
Yeah.
And then we allow these things so, anyways, that's another conversation. I think I have at least 4 more podcast content with me right now. Okay, talking about you as a person again, apart from the beautiful characters, there's very little that is out there. Like, I don't even know whether you're married or you're single.
I'm single.
Good. Girls, he's available. Oh, no. Are you available or are you seeing someone?
No, I'm available in that sense. Obviously, not to everyone. There comes stringent, laws with that
laws.
as well. Yeah,
Oh,
laws.
These are
There's
called
a
Jason
few-
laws.
There's a
Law
few
of
things.
attraction.
Yeah, that's one. That's the first one.
Yeah.
I think that's needed. I think males do a peacock dance.
Yeah.
So do women in a way, both, trying to engage one another to be able to go further from there. But there's just different things that, I have set I've aligned myself with those things, and they're spiritual, mental, and physical. If I'm with someone, I want them to be the best of who they can. So that means that I'm worried about everything on every level, because your representation is also a representation of who I am. Because if I'm with, I don't want to, point to anything in particular, but if I'm with someone who doesn't take care of themselves physically, doesn't know how to speak to people, I may send them, for a meeting that, maybe someone I know for a long time is really there, and I may get that call saying, who is this? Like, why is this a representation of you?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And I think if men and women also start to look at things like this, I think it will strengthen the relationship. That you may feel like fighting. You may feel like having an argument. I think it's good to fight for your love, but maybe not in front of everyone.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you hold that poise.
Yeah. The line of respect shouldn't be crossed.
Exactly.
And I see so many people casually do so. And unfortunately, I'm seeing, this whole movement about women empowerment and a lot of, feminism coming into the picture. Sadly, I'm seeing that is being abused as well right now. There are a lot of places where I feel bad for the men now. I feel like in parties I see women pulling up, the man really down publicly. Oh, what does he know? And I'm like, hang on. Back in the days, we had a problem with men speak to women like that. How has this become on the extreme end? We were looking for the balance. We were never striving for one Battamis for another Battamis. So if he was bad, he was called out and that was bad. But how has now that's gone into your pants and you feel in the empowerment space, I'm going to show him that. That is again not okay. I feel balance is what is lacking in most of the spaces. The whole fight for the rights then eventually goes into the right of somebody else and wrong for another one. So this right and wrong is just so at its extreme. And I constantly correct people, like if I can, if they're my good friends, I take them aside and I'm like, I don't even think you realize that how you're speaking. If he spoke to you like that, would you be okay? No. But he takes it. I'm like, oh, that's besides the point. He loves you. He accepts it. But it's definitely not okay. And you are the one who's looking bad right now. So, okay, I'm digressing from the conversation.
No, I
but
think
even
that's...
you didn't answer very clearly. Are you
No.
with someone?
No, I'm not. I'm
going to get
absolutely
that
not.
out.
Yeah, I'm not. But
Single,
I am
available,
single,
has
available.
a lot of, as they say,
Expectations.
expectations.
Yes.
And why not? When you're
Yes.
good, you're worth it and you know that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think feminism or any agenda for, let's say, or any narrative, like let's say climate change.
Right.
If you're going to be an activist for climate change, I think you need to show us how active you are about what you're trying to change. But if you're a multi-billionaire and you're getting on a chartered plane every 2 seconds of your life and then blaming us for polluting the sky, I think you need to look at your own life. Feminism, sadly, most very strong feminists that I've spoken to, sadly are a lot of women with a lot of hurt. Who have put themselves into situations where they did not assess their man, in the right way, may have even had sex before marriage. So you've done things backwards, expecting something to go forward. It doesn't work like that. There's a certain sanctity that you have to have. So I think coming from that perspective, you start to see that a lot of these things are being pushed by people that are not following it up with the way that it should be, portrayed or should be displayed, or the ones that should actually be the sample of what they're trying to preach. Because I've had people preach at me of, whether it's religion, whether it's, for exercise or something like that, but you're not practicing it.
Absolutely.
So until I have, someone who is telling me something, but also following it and showing me the
See,
result.
if you tell me about fitness, I'll listen to you.
Exactly.
If I tell you about fitness, you'll be like, Varoin.
But if you tell me about fashion, my ears will be open.
Of course.
So again, it's where
you got to walk the
person.
talk.
Yes.
You cannot just talk.
No.
Right.
So I think that's the sad part, and because of it, as you rightly said, this is taking a very bad hit on the world. I am not joking. I live in South Mumbai. Out of the 40 people that I know in the last 5 years that have gotten married, more than 60% of those are already divorced. And you're talking about Gujaratis and Marwadis and these kind of communities, Sindhi communities, which you haven't seen divorce like this.
Yeah. It
And
was
growing up,
thing.
never.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I don't feel like it, so we're not vibing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you think marriage was? It was just something to vibe. It's something that you walk in
So I know
with.
couples who've gone for therapy soon after their marriage.
Yes.
Because they only realized it after getting married that, oh, this is the life now. They only saw the wedding day. They only saw the picture till that picture, like we're getting married and beautiful moment. And now when they're living together, they're like, damn, this is serious stuff. And many a times it's just not working out because they've not thought through this whole thing. I personally feel a lot of us are the way we are because of our experiences. And we're still constantly changing. Like the changes that I have experienced in the last 2 years personally are also very, very strong. and I can't even handle sometimes. And I do seek out to experts who are like mental therapists and stuff like that, purely because they're trained to handle and condition my mind. Do you feel in India or in general around the world, this is something that should be normalized? Or do you feel that no, spiritual path is enough, or internally we should be able to fight it out?
So, as I said again, I think it's a combination of everything. Psychology, which I've also studied. I have no degree. I didn't want the degree. It's more just the information that I like, because I like to get knowledge and wisdom. So I read on religion. I read on politics. I read on everything, health, medicine, whatever it is. I want to read. I want to know. When you come from these kind of places, if you're going to a psychiatrist, they can't help you spiritually, because that's not their zone. So they're going to give you the mental aspect. Now, what I like to do is, what I've understood about psychology is all that person is basically doing is asking you questions. So how do you feel about it? Then you say how you feel about it. And why do you think this has happened? As an actor, the why, when, what, where, who is very important. That's what I've got to do to break down a character. That's how I build a character. So being an actor has taught me a lot. How do you actually condition your mind? What is willpower? What is self-control? Yes, sadly, the industry also comes with a lot of distractions. So I was also heavily distracted. I got into all kinds of addictions across the board, because those are the kinds of, avenues that are very easily available to you living in this industry. So, okay.
And also sometimes you feel you got to fit into it.
Peer
if
pressure.
you don't, then you're going to be the outsider.
Absolutely.
Right.
So many people tell me this in Bombay. They're like, I never see you partying. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm working more than most actors.
Yeah.
And definitely, if you're talking about a white guy in India,
He's very busy.
I'm very busy. So, I mean, obviously I'm blessed.
Right.
It's not, so much, I don't take it on myself. But it's your perception. If you think that by entering, and this leaves out acting, that I've got to do this to get this, you've already corrupted your own path. That's just the way I look at it. Keep trying to do what you know you can do best.
Right.
If that avenue doesn't open up, start opening up your own avenues. Start looking for other people who think the same. Be authentic. Don't worry about risk. No one, there's nobody, a maker of the light, the telephone, the Apple phone, anything, the amount of risk, the amount that they were willing to surrender, the amount that they were willing to compromise from their life and say, I'm even going to compromise from my life getting married for now, because I want the world to have light. Imagine Thomas Edison, imagine, Alexander Graham Bell. If these guys didn't persevere, where would we be today? We'd be without TVs, airplanes. So I think it's that. You've got to sort of position, again, it's the positioning of your mind. But again, it's the way it's taught. I think it's spiritual, mental, and then comes the physical. So today, doctors of all kinds will tell you this, that if you have a lot of mental instability, it builds up into cancer, it builds up into autoimmune diseases, it gives you all kinds of different things that even doctors can't detect sometimes, because it's been a buildup of something in that person's past. So yeah, I mean, it's just growth in general.
Right. So spirituality is again a very individual thing. However, your step 2, because I've understood your 3 steps, spiritual, mental, physical. Remember, this is how it works. But for some people, the first step probably doesn't happen, right? Yeah. So I do believe for those, second step is as good as the first one. And they must seek out for help. Sometimes your friends are not trained enough to do so. They can only hear you out and give you maybe wrong or right information. So yeah, I feel like personally I seek out to spirituality first, always. But then I also feel like there are people who are trained to help and support. And I do seek out. Like, I have issues, I literally collect. I'm like, I need to fix these 3 things. I make that call, and I'm literally telling you, it gets fixed, and there's a life beyond that bridge. You're like, oh my God, it was so easy to cross this stage. And I really endorse, and I hope people really take it, somehow as a suggestion. Like, don't wait. Don't keep having those sleepless nights and having anxiety, and put that unnecessary baggage and the pressure, which you can just get rid of. It's so much easier. In your line of work, obviously, I keep coming back to work and personal, spiritual conversations, but I can't take away the big actor that you are, and I want to keep asking you those questions. Has there been any role that you have rejected, and you look back and you're like, oh my God, that is one thing that I regret rejecting today?
I don't reject anything.
Oh,
So obviously I have a price that comes with that.
right.
If it fits into that, I think my team is more than ready to roll. I don't reject, because to me, it's about what you give justice to. So to someone else, that may just be one line or 2 lines. Now it doesn't showcase me well enough. I'm not giving priority. I'm not in the foreground. I'm not this. I'm not that. I look at it differently. I look at it, if I can justify that character till the end, somebody's going to see me somewhere.
Right.
So as I said, doing Salar, people are like, oh my God, you're in Salar. And I'm hardly there. But
see, it's paying off today.
Exactly.
Right.
Telugu doors are opening. Now I'm in Hyderabad a lot. So if you're going to always, that's the thing about me, I'm like, don't be so small-minded. Sometimes, or most of the times actually, which you can, I'm sure, agree in, small things lead into big things.
Absolutely.
This shop was
Yes.
a skeleton
Yes.
before you came here.
Yes.
It was on
Shell and
ground
core.
level before
Yeah.
the builder built the building.
Yeah.
So you have to first understand, which is manifestation in a lot of ways, is see your life, look at it. Start to ask yourself, where do I want to be 10 years from now? Not just what party do I want to be at tomorrow, or what's the
God.
next Coldplay concert, or when can I go next to, drink, or no, have a bigger perspective of your life. Start with something small.
Right.
Pay attention, focus, work at it, as we spoke about, persevere, and you will get to something big.
Right.
But as we said, there's a lack of endurance in this generation. So it's like, oh no, it was too tough. That person doesn't like to work with me. They said this to me, I'm out.
Right.
I'm like, well, all the best. It's not going to work out for you, trust me.
I think the key word that's coming to me as we're coming closer to our conversation today is the balance. I think balance is the key that we are lacking in the moment. I think there's nothing wrong with the new generation. There's nothing wrong with the seniors or anyone. It's just the fact that let's not go into extremes. We've touched on different genres today. We've spoken about today's generation. We've spoken about men and women. We've spoken about actors who get into too much of, yes and no's about projects. I think it's all about the balance and taking life a little bit easier. Make it easy for the other person and make it easy for yourself. Actually, it's all about giving. The more you give out, the more you receive. So it's the peace and the love that we give is what we get back in return. And I think on a certain note, I feel very much satisfied with the conversation today. I feel this is how I had envisioned or manifested having a good, soulful conversation along with a lot of, fun stuff and getting to know more about you. On a last parting note, what is your fashion mantra, since we are sitting with a fashion designer and we are in a fashion house right now?
To be honest, like, things have really started to pop as of yesterday,
My God, I woke up this morning. I'm so glad that we are speaking about it. What's with this collaboration? What happened? You blowing up on Instagram with this whole...
I think as obviously I'm changing. Now I'm not afraid to say it. I'm 37 years old.
Right.
I think I've started to enjoy color. I think diversity, all these kinds of things. I think flexibility in one's life is needed. And I think I'm becoming more flexible with being a little bit more out there as far as a look goes, or, wearing something that two people would be like, no, Jason, you can't wear that. And then when I wear it, they're like,
It's actually cool.
it's cool, you're
It
pulling
looks
it off. How do you
amazing.
pull this off?
Yeah.
So I think it comes with maybe a little bit of age, or maybe just a personality. I think as you can see, I'm black, full black today. I love wearing white and black. So most of my cupboard is white and black. Actually, one of my first close friends and stylist, he's quite well known. His name is Gaga Gentleman on Instagram. He told me, he said, I looked in your cupboard and all I saw was black and white. We have to change that. So I think stepping into different departments of this industry, that you are an actor, but at times you will be called to fashionably appear somewhere.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's staying comfortable. I never want to be wearing something. Like sometimes I see things and I'm like, how are they going to sit for the rest of the evening in that? If they can do it, by all means. I mean,
some people are very comfortable in skinny fits, by the way.
Yeah.
You put them in comfort or oversized look, and they're like, no, I cannot function.
Yeah.
And some people just like
the
a lot
opposite.
more comfortable stuff.
So I think now it's like, let it open.
Talking about that collab, I want to
Yes.
talk more. It's amazing.
Yes.
So tell me, how did this happen?
So this opportunity arose. I was on holiday in Koh Samui, and Roma Michael, who's a budding actress right now, very talented. I think she's doing a drama in Pakistan that is, got very highlighted, and they were also there. So Ahmad, who is, the designer, Ahmad Manan, he said, would you like to wear something? And I said, just collab. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do something.
So this was shot
together.
in Koh Samui?
In Koh Samui, on a beach that we chose, actually by a Russian photographer.
While you were on a holiday?
Yeah, and it's just how things are going right now, and
good
last
for everyone.
night things are
like
opening.
sometimes universe just puts everything together.
It does.
Because these crossover collaborations are always very interesting, because a lot of talent also gets, informed about, like, oh, there is this designer. I loved his work. I saw it because I saw it on your Instagram. And like about this actress you're talking about, I'm sure likewise your audience has probably seen your body of work, but a lot more people get to see. So I think the more we celebrate art together, the better it gets, because more and more people get to know. Interesting. So
there's a few more things in the lineup with some new designers.
Oh, lovely.
Even something maybe in America.
Wow.
Yeah, coming soon.
I can see
So-
2025 is a lot of fashion is coming up.
Yes, it is, definitely. And I think just open doors, I think once you start understanding that it's faith over fear.
Right.
Always.
I think you're enjoying this right now.
I'm enjoying it. It's
It's
been
fun.
learning, but it's
Yeah.
also, which can get tough sometimes.
Absolutely.
But it's also just opening up. It's
Right.
breaking free. It's saying, you
Right.
know what, I'm blessed with the person that I am.
Right.
I know what I can be, and let's go give it to the
Great.
world.
I'm already thinking, what am I dressing you up in next?
Yes, come on.
We got to do something interesting.
Yes.
On that note, I have to say a very big thank you once again
welcome.
for being here, for having such an open-hearted conversation with me. I'm sure our lovely friends, audience who are watching us are going to truly enjoy. And I look forward to having you back again, because I feel there's so much more to still talk.
Yes.
But I'm going to make sure that the timelines are met. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a
Thank
great day ahead. Thank you for waking me up early in the morning. We're going to start our day actually now, because the rest of the world is waking up now.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you.
Awesome.
And have a
Thank you
brilliant
so
day.
much for
Wishing you
having
all the
me.
best for your
Thank you.
future
Thank you.
projects.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Celebrity Spotlight with Varoin Marwah. See you next time.